Hello and welcome to chapter 7 of Angular Material Theming System. In this chapter, we are going to consolidate all of our learnings from previous chapters and we are going to apply that in an Angular UI library and we will use that library in our to-do application. So basically in this chapter, what we are going to do, we are going to create a UI library first, then we will create a stats component in it, then we will apply Angular material styles in our UI libraries stats component. And lastly, we will learn how to take care of density in this UI library project. If you are following along, you don't have to clone the repository again or change the folder. You can continue in your previous chapter's project, which was chapter 6. You can continue in that chapter. Or if you want to start from scratch, make sure that you are inside end folder of chapter 6 and run the npm start command and continue this chapter in that exercise. This is going to be a really exciting chapter and I'm sure you will learn a couple of things out of this chapter. So let's get started. I will switch to my VS Code and I will open up the terminal. Go to new terminal. Here I will create the new library using ng-generate command. So ng-glib, and I want to name the library as @app/ui. So this is the common pattern because our component is going to be a purely presentation component. So we can say that it is a UI component and I am using @app/ui so that in future, if you want to add any UI component, you can add those in this library. Let's press enter. So once you press enter, it will create a boilerplate of a library and it will install the dependencies for you. Next, I will clean up lib folder. I will delete the created component and service and spec files. And I will also clean up the public API.ts file. Next, we will create the stats component using Angular CLI. And I'm going to write ng-gc component/stats hyphen project is equal to appui hyphen style is equal to scss. So basically, I'm generating stats component inside components folder and I'm asking it to generate inside appui project and I'm asking it to use scss styles. Let's press enter. And it will create some boilerplates file for you inside component/stats folder. I'm going to delete the spec file because we are not going to focus on writing unit test cases. Okay, so we have the stats component with us. Now we are going to add some UI into this. To give you an idea, we are going to create stats component to show the numbers of low, medium, and high priority tasks and how many are done and how many are remaining. Let me show you a wireframe design how we are going to create the stats component. We are going to have our horizontal layout like this, and it will be divided in three parts, each for type of priority of a task. Then uh, on title, we are going to have the priority written, and below that, we are going to have written how many tasks are done and how many out of how many. And this will be little bit larger font. And this low, let me copy this. So this is how it's going to be uh, look like. And low, medium, and high will have background colors, same as what we provided in its chips, so that user can associate the stats with the priorities. And this will be on top of our current to-do list. So stats component will stay on the top of our application. Okay, so let's get back to our code. Now I'm going to write, this will be a simple HTML CSS code, nothing fancy. So I have a stats container. I'm iterating over each and every item of list. Uh, then I also have a done class applied. Basically, if all the items are done, then I want to add a done class. Okay. Then I'm showing the title and we are showing the value, how many are done out of how many. Okay. Now let's go to the component. In component, we are going to have this code. So basically list is high, medium, and low, and count will be an input. So our consumer components will be able to provide count, and it will be a JSON object like this. They can provide how many are total items in high category and how many are done, and same for medium and low priority. Next will be styles. So first text container, I am using display grid, and I'm giving grid template columns. So each and every column will take same size. And if it is larger than 960 pixel, which is approximately larger than a tablet, then it will use three columns divided equally. I will save all this. Now we will export this component in public API. I will paste it over here. Now let's try to import the stats component. But before importing, we will have to build the library project once so that we can import it in our app component. I'm going to stop the current terminal and open up new one so that you can see it properly. So we can build the API project using this command ng build and then project name. Let's build it. Once the build is successful, then you will be able to import it. So now I will say stats component and from @app/UI. Now let's use this in our app component. So I'm going to use it over here. I'm going to say lib stats and I will save this and I will run the project. Once it has completed running, you can see our component. Let me go to the browser. So you can see on top, we have high, medium, and low component in place. And as we are not passing any values, it is showing 0/0 for all the priorities. Let's pass some values to it. I'm going to go back to our app component. In that, I'm going to create a new signal. Basically, this will be the property which I will pass in text component. So this count will hold high, medium, and low in this structure, and it will have counts of total and whatever tasks are done. So I'm going to save this and I will use that in here. Okay, let's try to create some to-dos. As you can see, medium tasks all are done. That's why it has lower opacity. It is having done class applied over it. Let's see it. If you see over here, it has done class, and done class takes opacity as half so that user knows which priorities are done, which priorities are remaining. So for high priority, we have one task remaining. If I mark it as done, the count will be updated. Simple. But this is functionality wise, this is working fine. But UI wise, we still need to add colors and typography. So now we are going to use Angular Materials system variables to apply colors and typography in our stats component. Let's do that. So I'm going to go back to my code and I'm going to open stats component.scss, and I'm going to paste the styles which I already have written earlier. So what I'm doing, I'm giving stats container first of all border radius of corner medium. Then I'm also giving level 1 of box shadow. Then I'm creating map of priority color. This is basically same as what we gave the colors in chips when we saw system level variables and we overwritten the colors for chips so that user can easily identify between low, medium, and high priority to-dos. So these are same colors, and I'm assigning those colors to each and every stats item, and I am using headline large type scale for value and title medium type scale for title. And for this total count, I am using a little bit small font. So let's save all this. You will notice that even after saving, changes are not getting reflected, and it's because we are making changes in library project, but we are running actually our main workspace project. So how to handle this? So to do that, what we need to do, we need to run the library project in watch mode so that whenever we make any changes, library project gets built again. And once it's built successfully, our main workspace project will restart the dev server. So let's do that. So I'm going to go to main package JSON file. There I'm going to add two scripts. First is pre-built script, which is not needed for now, but it is helpful in production. And second is watch colon lib. So this will basically build the UI library in watch mode, and its configuration will be development so that the build is little bit faster. And when you deploy to production, you are going to run the build command. So pre-built script will automatically run before build, and it will make sure that app UI project is built before our actual application. I will save this. I will start the terminal again. Now I'm going to run npm run watch lib so that it starts watching and building the library based on the changes. In another terminal, once this build is completed, I'm going to start our main workspace project. And you can see at the bottom it says compilation complete watching for file changes. So now whenever we make changes in our library, it will rebuild the library. Okay, after successful build, now you can see the colors and shadow. Let me go to the browser and you can see that it has some shadow and high, medium and low priority sections have some colors applied over to it, and the remaining to-dos have more font size, and the total font size is little bit small, and high, medium and low are also typographically correct with respect to Angular materials typography. So now this is looking fine, and our stats component is more aligned with Angular material component thanks to system variables. So if I mark this to do as done, we can see the effect. If I mark it undone, we can see it. If I mark this undone, we can see it, right? The opacities are also playing a nice UI effect. But there is still one more thing remaining. Let me show you that. If I change the density is not making any effect on our states component. It is only changing the densities of Angular material components. So to fix this, we are going to expose the density of our stats component, and we are going to allow our workspace project to use this density and provide the value based on users preferences. So let's do that. So first of all, I'm going to create the density file inside this stats component, underscore stats.density.scss, and I'm going to paste it over here. So what's going on in this? Let me reduce this. So I have created a map called spacing, and in it I am providing paddings for each and every possible value of density. So for -1, I am providing padding of 6 pixel, 12 pixel. For -2, I am providing value of 4 pixel, 8 pixel, and likewise. So what I want to do is, as density gets decreased, I want to reduce the white spacing in our stats component. So that is I'm doing over here, right? As you can see in stats item, I am overriding padding using scale spacing, and scale spacing I'm reading from this map. Now let's save this. Now how to use this in our application, basically in workspace application. So first of all, we will need to forward this file so that our workspace application can use it. So for components and services, we use this public API .ts file, correct? Similarly, we can have a barrel file for styles. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one index.scss file. And in this, I'm going to use @forward, and I'm going to expose the density style. And as we are going to use this density style, we should also name this as stats star, so that whatever are mixins available in stats density, they will be prefixed with stats dash. So for example, we have a mixin called density. So when we will use this density, in our workspace application, we will need to use it as stats-density. So that is how forward @forward rule works in SCSS. I'm going to save this. Now there is one optional change. You can make that if you want. Generally, if you want to publish the library publicly, you should have this. So exports keyword, and in SAS, you need to expose underscore index.scss so that whoever is going to use your library, they can simply use the SAS using @use role, and yet they don't have to find out the path of index.scss completely. So they can simply use it like this: use @app/ui as app UI, and it's done. And SAS module will automatically find out that what is the default file exported for SAS, and it will find out this, and it will export the index.scss file. So if you are going to publish this somewhere, you can use this way. Okay, let's move ahead. We are going to use this library locally, right? Internally. We don't want it to be published before we can use this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide its path in Angular JSON's style preprocessor options. So I'm going to go to Angular JSON, and let's find out build.options. Yes, we have build.options available over here. In this, I'm going to paste this snippet just before the end. So here, what I'm doing, I'm using style preprocessor options, and I'm passing one argument, include path, and in that I'm passing the path of project. So what will happen when we run this main workspace project? It will also include all the styles present under projects folder so that we can directly use the path from projects directory. I'm going to show you that. So as we want to use density, let's go to our application's main density file, which is underscore density dot scss. Now here, what I will do, I will import from app/ui/src, and I will use it as UI. And inside our density classes, I'm going to include ui.stats-density, and I'm going to pass the density value. So we are able to import the file from this location app/ui/src folder thanks to this option, style preprocessor options include path property. Otherwise, we would have to fetch the file from projects folder. But thanks to this, we can use the path like this. And then I am using that module as UI, and I'm using it UI.stats-density. We have named the mixin as density, but as we are forwarding from here, we are forwarding as stats-star. We have to prefix the mixin with stats dash. Let's save all this. And as we have made changes in Angular JSON, we will have to restart the server. I will stop the main application and I will restart it. So once the application has restarted, let's go to our browser. Let's try to change the density. So I'm going to reduce it to -1. You can see the padding is getting reduced now, right? You can see that up to -3, it is getting reduced, right? So now our stats component is fully aligned with other Angular material components because with color and typography, now it also supports changes in density. This brings us to the end of this chapter. So to recap, We started by creating a library. Then we created a stats component inside it. Then we applied some basic styles to the component and we saw the functionality wise it was working fine. But UI wise it was still incomplete. So we added some styles thanks to Angular Materials system variables. And lastly, we also learned that density was not taken care directly. We had to make some extra changes to take care of density. And finally, our UI library states component is now fully compatible with Angular Materials theming design. Thank you for watching this chapter, and I will see you in the next one.